Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I think we had a good session on financing right now. So that takes us to the next topic on technology. Technology, the evolving technology has a big role to play in energy transition. We all know that. So in this quick chat with Mr. Ranjit, we want to cover some critical aspects of that technology and technological innovation. So the first question which I want to ask Ranjit is that, what do you think, what do you think technological innovation, or how do you think technological innovation contributes to, energy transition or towards a low carbon economy? And while doing that, how does it maintain the security of supply or the energy security of the country and also affordability? So what I'm trying to ask is, how does technological innovation sort of balance various objectives around energy security, affordability, and transition?
Thank you, Somesh. Thank you, Somesh. First of all, I'd like to thank for this opportunity to speak at this August forum. It's a privilege to speak in front of all of these distinguished guests, panelists, some of the eminent speakers in the industry and experts. And thank you, Economic Times, for giving this opportunity. Before I say, I'll just give some background. As a Honeywell, all what we do is we are a technology provider. We innovate technology which concerns with aviation, which is connected with automation, and which is connected with energy. And we have to all do it sustainably. Now, when we talk about role of innovation, I could start with an example that Stone Age did not end because we ran out of stones. Stone Age ended because we came up with better tools. And that's because of innovation. So innovation and evolution is life. When we try to innovate, we have to look at what are we trying to innovate? What does the whole system needs an innovation? So let's look at, as we're talking about low carbon economy, the chain is strongest at its weakest link. So what are the components of this chain? So there are 4 components in broad terms. The first we talk about is a policy and mandate. Policy creates the type of market and mandate creates the size of market. Second, when we look at is the infrastructure, whether it is existing or new, because that is what sets how we serve this market. The third one we look at is the finance, and we talked about green financing just before this. It is the fuel. It is what will fuel it, how we get into this market. And then the fourth is the technology component. Technology is how fast we can get to the market. It is the gear which sets the speed for all of this. But technology comes when only these 3 elements we understand where each one of it lacks. What does it need? Should I make a gear for a Formula 1 car or should I make a gear for a mountain ride? Those are different technological needs. So when we look into innovation, all of these have to be considered. That's what sets what we can innovate and what market needs. Whenever we look at it, it has to be on 3 principles. And I'll give you an example of an oil and gas. Okay, let's talk of low carbon economy. One of the biggest users of what we are doing today is ethylene molecule. Okay, it goes into almost everywhere. Okay, whether we talk about this microphone, okay, this is ethylene part of it, correct? So it needs olefins. These TV screens or sofa sets, whatever is seen, we need that olefinic molecule. It's one of the more prominent molecules. How do we make that molecule with lowest amount of crude oil? That is the first, is reduce and be sustainable. If I can, instead of doing with 100 liters or 100 barrels of oil, if I can do it with 50, I have decarbonized 50 already. And that is what we have done recently. Now, once I've taken that 50 liters of oil, and I'm making a plastic out of it, how do I reuse? What do I mean by reuse is, during that process, we put a lot of heat and we take out a lot of heat. There's a heating and cooling that happens, and it happens everywhere, correct? Even in this room, we are heating and cooling the room. There's a lot of energy that is being put out, and after a while it is wasted. Can we reuse that energy? A lot of waste is produced during that process. Can we reuse that waste? And then the third part is the recycle part of it, where at the end of the plastic life, can we recycle the plastic back? All of this is important because once we understand the chain, only then we can establish a circular economy. So innovation is required to drive this. A common example, again, I'm going a bit outside it, but another example I can quote is a mobile phone. Just imagine how much sustainability that one phone brings into our life. Sounds surprising, but if we can do banking from my phone, it avoids me going or taking a trip to the bank and back. It saves my time, it saves fuel, it saves a car on the road. I can do my health check. I can reduce a lot of transportation, not just by going to these places, just by doing everything at my mobile phone. So these innovations are required for us to be sustainable. So we do think innovation has a quite key role in looking at everything very, very carefully. When we design a chemical process, we make sure that every molecule we take it to the highest value we can. We should not take a crude oil and make it into fuel gas, which is a low value. We have to take it and make it into the highest value, which will stay forever and be reused again and again. That's how we approach innovation, and that's how we see innovation playing a role in low carbon economy.
Yeah, no, I think you outlined the role of technological innovation quite well. But if my second question and follow-on question to this would be that if technological innovation, can solve so many problems and it can really contribute towards a low carbon economy, then why are we not fast tracking it? I mean, what are the real barriers to achieving this kind of innovation and on a scale and on a fast track basis?
Excellent question. So we see 3 to 4 main barriers which is preventing this low carbon transition. The first barrier itself is a market. Market in the sense, we work with a lot of developers who are putting sustainability projects. Their biggest challenge has been getting offtake agreements. Long-term offtake agreements are very difficult to come by on its own. There are government interventions. If you look in Japan, if you look in EU, if you look in Korea, those are the mature markets. But government has interfered in one way or other by providing some incentives. So it's not standing on its own. Those incentives, everybody knows, are not going to last long. And that's an hesitation which connects to the second part, is finance. When people are lending to these projects, they want long-term offtake agreements. And when everybody knows the cost is going to come down, people are worried to give signing on a long-term offtake agreement. With short-term agreement, the risk of the project becomes very high. And that's come to the second portion, is where this barrier is a risk. Now, risk is two risks. One is market risk. Is this premium going to stay? Because I see a premium right now in investing in green technologies, but is this premium going to stay long? That's first concern. And second, the technology risk. We are trying new technologies, and many of the times people say it's unproven technology, there is not enough commercial experience. We tend to go back to technologies which were invented 10, 15, 20, or sometimes 30 years ago to solve problems for next 30 years down the line. They may not be sufficient. We had to take some risk, but that risk, who will take the risk? Okay, we had to think of innovative way of taking the risk. Maybe an insurance policy, maybe something on that lines, which will be another barrier to overcome. And the third is infrastructure risk. And we heard this morning, correct? If we want to make 5 gigawatts of green energy or hydrogen, we need to invest $200 billion. Okay. We need to invest in infrastructure, so much amount of solar energy, so much amount of land is required. Can we scale that up for the timelines we have set up? So these are the key barriers we have seen, which we have, so far prevented or slowed down some of the targets we are trying to achieve. When all these things pieces come together and we all people sitting in this room are understanding each other, we try to work out a different innovative models. And that's what we have seen, that wherever people have come together as a one full chain, understanding what it takes, where are the bottlenecks, that's when we have seen those projects move faster. Many projects fail because they are only looking at one chain, but it doesn't move until you have an off-taker, you have a secured feed supply, you have a finance, and you have a project allocation, land allocation, everything done. And many people fail over there. One or two projects move out of 20. But when everybody comes, they move.
So as I see it, you're saying, you know, whether it is offtake agreements or it is availability of financing or required financing or, you know, distribution of risks in an appropriate manner, you know, whoever is best capable to manage it is distributed. So all these would again point to a lot of work required by the government. Would you agree, or is it mostly, I mean, there'll be a lot of stakeholders who would actually be dealing with different parts, and, you know, like the audience here and we assembled here, you know, we will be doing collectively a lot to solve this problem. But technological innovation also is a factor of a lot of things, as you said, and a lot of them would be enabled by the government ecosystem again.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, there are two things which a government creates environment for people to come and invest. Today we talk about, for example, compressed biogas. Compressed biogas is not just a government initiative anymore. We see lot many private players coming and actively developing, investing in that project. This is not a moment of government anymore, it's a masses. Okay, it is now going to a smallest level where you can put it in an educational institution, we can put it in a farmland. When we are coming up with these creative solutions at such a scale which can be deployed quickly, it means the government has done its role, created that environment. Of course, there will be hurdles as we go along to make it more affordable, but government's role is to create it for masses, and then industry takes along.
Sure. No, absolutely. Now, just you know, a more philosophical question is, we've set our targets to be net zero by 2070 as a country, which is much behind some others. So, do you think that's a reasonable ambition to have? I mean, technologically, I'm just saying, in terms of technology, is it something that we can accelerate, or how do you see it? What's your point of view on that?
So, I'll say net zero is not a goal, it's a milestone. And sustainability is not a journey, it's a value. Correct? We have to hold to those values in everything we do, in whether it's design, whether how we live it. Every country is running its journey at its own pace, correct? India has to take 1.3, 1.4 billion people together. We are going to be $5 and $10 trillion economy pretty soon. We had to address our security needs. We had to address our affordability needs. So we are running. We may not be as fast as some of the other lean people running out in the race, but we are carrying a 1.4 billion people together. If we look in terms of what we are spending per capita, if we look at India's commitment to renewable resource, renewable energy, compared to its GDP, it is much, much, much higher compared to some of the leading economies. What does that demonstrate? Our commitment. We are going there, we are getting there. Yes, we might be slow in the beginning, but if you look at what our targets are, 500 gigawatts of solar or green energy is not something mean. We are already the third largest electricity, or fourth largest electric producer, and third largest in terms of renewable energy. So we are there. We are punching above our weight, and we will soon be second and first, because we are going to be one of the biggest economy when we get to 2040s and 50s. So I think we are marching along quite well. This is not, as we said, in India, best thing is it's not a government-led. We see a lot of active participation from private sector who are driving this project. So for me, we will get there, whether it's 2070 or 2060. I think we might get even faster there. Every time we make a commitment, we have demonstrated that we make faster, correct? Whether it's 40% or 50% of our electricity, we have track record of getting there before. So 2070, I'm not worried. I think we will get there faster and we will lead the world for sure.
Good. And my last question to you, in 2 minutes, if you would like to describe how Honeywell is contributing to this journey.
Thank you. Okay. So, as I said, we are organized in 3 sectors. We look after aviation sector, so how to make aviation faster, safer, and sustainable. So we look into all of that. Second, we are also developing projects for automation. So it's whether it's automation, industrial automation, whether building smart and making more sustainable. We look into all of, we develop project for that. And third one I represent is energy and sustainability. So we try to bring out more creative solutions for oil and gas industry, for healthcare industry, pharma industry, packaging industry, even the road construction. So we are into a lot of it, but everywhere what we try to do is, are we creating a more sustainable product than what is available today? That's what we do.
Okay, thank you so much. So I think that brings us to the close of this fireside chat.